Is it possible to pay zero rent in New York City? The best, dirtiest, most diverse, expensive paradise full of the weirdest yet most brave people you'll ever meet? Well, to answer that, we have to look at where rent started in the first place, because paying zero rent in NYC takes some work. Before we answer that, you've got to know how much rent has skyrocketed in New York. While the city is home to everything from Wall Street to Central Park, and those waiting on a miracle from the New York Knicks, millions of residents are asking, has rent gotten too high? And millions more are leaving. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, inflation is on the uptick nationwide, clocking in at a record 8.6% in July 2022. This means that the cost of practically everything has risen accordingly, from insurance premiums to the TV in your living room. More specifically, rent in NYC has risen by 20% on average, putting a further pinch on the average New Yorker's budget. The ACS survey puts the median figure for rent in New York State at $1,280 a month, while NYC sees most prices for a single bedroom apartment trending upwards of $3,000 without breaking a sweat. But is that too much rent? What is too much rent? Let's take a look at the bigger picture. The median monthly salary of an NYC resident rests at around $5,700. And here we find the complex reality. New Yorkers falling within, not to mention below, the median salary figures struggle to find adequate housing for themselves and their families. See, most economists agree that rent should only be 30% of a person's budget, but New Yorkers are paying 50% or more of their budgets to rent each month. It's safe to say that paying zero rent in NYC would be the best news to anyone living there. So how do you actually do that? I could tell you about #vanlife, which would be helpful for those who want to see more of the country. You would of course have to splash some considerable cash regardless to convert your vehicle into a livable habitat. If that's something you think you could get into, then you could enjoy a rent-free traveller's lifestyle. I could also tell you about the field of property management. Property managers are the people tenants turn to for complaining about their Karen neighbours, submitting requests for maintenance and most other home-related questions. Usually, you'll be provided with a rent-free apartment of your own to live in, and even if it isn't completely free, the rent you would have to pay would be a fraction of what you would get otherwise. But that still wouldn't be the number one method to live rent-free in the Big Apple. Now for our pièce de résistance. Let us introduce you to the bread and butter of house hacking. As the name implies, this would mean that you have to purchase a home. But here's the twist. It's possible to house hack without ever buying a home yourself. But we'll come back to that in a minute. With house hacking, the idea is that the income from the house contributes to the monthly expenses, utilities, mortgage and so on. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So, from the beginning. House hacking is a concept that, when done right, will grant you the ownership of your very own home. It starts with buying a home. A no-brainer, right? Okay, so ideally you want to have enough funds to offer a 20% down payment of the value of the house. But if that isn't on the cards, as long as you have 3.5% to 5% of the total value of your target home, you can apply for a Federal Housing Administration or FHA loan to cover the rest of the costs. That's $20,000 down for a $500,000 house. Once your home is secured, you can rent out your spare bedrooms to cover or offset your mortgage costs. Who knows, house hacking could be your start to building your real estate portfolio. But that's not even the best part. What if there was a way to house hack without buying the property in the first place? Would that solve the rent problem in New York City? Well, all you have to do is smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Seriously, before we get to the secret sauce, if you appreciate this insider information, then leave a like. And as a thank you, here's a box of puppies. That reminds me, what's a puppy's favourite city? New Yorkie. Well, hey, you having that? No? Anyway, where would we be able to pay zero rent and not buy a property? Imagine putting your spare bedroom on Airbnb to secure longer term tenants, or even tourists if you live in a tourist hotspot. And that room alone covers the cost of your rent. Now, if you have a 3-bedroom apartment in New York City, the other 2 bedrooms could make you money. Rooms in New York City go for over $100 a night. So is it crazy that you could stop paying rent by the end of the year? It goes without saying that it would be in your best interest to price your rooms fairly, whichever avenue you choose to pursue, since this would make you more competitive and appealing to prospective renters. So that's how you pay $0 in rent in NYC. And there you have it, freedom seekers. Rent woes aside, New York has always been wildly popular, and this video could be the help you need to establish yourself in the great city. If you're ever in town, we have the top 5 restaurants you'll want to visit in the city, so click here to watch that episode. If you're a first-time visitor to our channel, consider subscribing, and if you can think of anyone who would appreciate this content, share it with them. We want to hear from you if you've had any experience with zero rent living. Share your story down in the comments and we'll respond to as many as we can. See you in our next video. And remember, you're always one decision away.